presence is louder than words. People feel you before they hear you. Introduction.
Hi, this is Dr. Julian Vance, the human magnet, unlocking your natural power to connect. Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly become the center of attention? Not because they're the loudest or the most beautiful, but because there's something about them that draws you in like a moth to a flame. What if I told you that this magnetic quality isn't something you're born with, it's something you can develop? In this comprehensive guide based on the psychology of human connection, you'll discover the hidden patterns that make certain people irresistibly attractive to others. We're not talking about superficial charm or manipulation tactics. We're talking about genuine, authentic magnetism that comes from understanding how human hearts truly connect. Get ready to transform not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Because becoming magnetic isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming more of who you really are. Chapter 1: The Inner Foundation: Building Your Magnetic Core. Everything starts from within. Before you can attract others, you must first become someone worth being attracted to. But here's the twist: this has nothing to do with perfection. In fact, the people who try hardest to be perfect are often the least magnetic. Why? Because perfection creates distance. It makes others feel like they can't relate to you, like you're operating on a different level. What truly attracts people is authenticity mixed with confidence. It's the ability to be comfortable in your own skin while remaining open to growth and connection. Think about the people you're naturally drawn to. Are they perfect? Highly unlikely. They're probably people who own their story, who can laugh at themselves, who aren't afraid to admit when they don't know something. They've learned the secret that vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. And courage is magnetic. Self-respect, the silent attractor. Here's something most people miss: the relationship you have with yourself sets the template for how others will treat you. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, putting yourself down, or accepting less than you deserve, others will unconsciously mirror that behavior back to you. But when you treat yourself with respect, when you speak to yourself with kindness, when you set boundaries and honor them, something shifts. You begin to radiate a quiet confidence that others can feel. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or self-absorbed. It means developing a healthy relationship with yourself that allows you to show up fully for others. When you're not constantly seeking validation or approval, you can focus on giving value to those around you. And that shift from taking to giving is where true magnetism begins. The energy you carry. Energy is everything. You've felt it before: someone walks into a room and even though they haven't said a word, you can sense their mood. Maybe they're stressed, maybe they're excited, maybe they're at peace. That energy affects everyone around them. The question is, what energy are you bringing into your interactions? Magnetic people have learned to manage their energy. They don't let other people's moods dictate their own. They don't carry yesterday's frustrations into today's conversations. They show up present, grounded, and open. This isn't about being fake positive or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to approach each interaction with curiosity and goodwill rather than defensiveness and judgment. Small shifts, big changes. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't require dramatic changes. Sometimes the smallest shifts create the biggest impact. Start by noticing how you talk to yourself. Replace harsh criticism with gentle correction. Instead of "I'm so stupid," try "I made a mistake, and that's how I learn." Instead of "I never do anything right," try "I'm growing and improving every day." These internal shifts will naturally affect how you interact with others. When you're kinder to yourself, you'll be more patient with others. When you accept your own imperfections, you'll be less judgmental of theirs. And people can feel this acceptance. It draws them in because it makes them feel safe to be themselves around you. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the art of conversation and discover why the best conversationalists aren't great talkers, they're great listeners. Get ready to learn the most underrated skill in human connection. Chapter 2: The Listening Revolution: Why Silence is Your Secret Weapon. We live in a world of noise. Everyone wants to be heard, but few people know how to listen. This creates an incredible opportunity for those who master the art of listening. When you become someone who truly hears others, you become instantly magnetic. Why? Because listening is love in action. It's one of the purest ways to show someone they matter. But let's be clear about what real listening means. It's not waiting for your turn to speak. It's not thinking about what you're going to say next. It's not even agreeing with everything you hear. Real listening is about being fully present with another person's experience, trying to understand their world from their perspective. The attention revolution. In our age of constant distraction, giving someone your full attention has become a superpower. When you put away your phone, make eye contact, and focus completely on the person in front of you, you're giving them something rare and precious. You're saying, without words, right now, you're the most important person in my world. This kind of attention is magnetic because it's so uncommon. Most people are used to competing for attention, fighting to be heard over the noise. When someone gives them space to be heard, to be seen, to be understood, it creates an instant bond. The 80-20 communication formula. Here's a simple rule that will transform your conversations. Listen 80% of the time, talk 20%. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to filling silence or dominating conversations. But watch what happens when you flip this ratio. People start opening up. They share deeper thoughts, more personal stories, more of their authentic selves. And when they do share, resist the urge to immediately relate it back to your own experience. Instead, stay curious about their experience. Ask follow-up questions. What was that like for you? How did that change things? What did you learn from that? These questions show you're not just hearing their words, you're interested in their inner world. The power of reflection. One of the most powerful listening techniques is reflection. This means summarizing back what you've heard, not just the facts but the emotions behind them. For example, if someone tells you about a challenging day at work, you might say, "It sounds like you felt overwhelmed and unappreciated. That must have been really frustrating." This kind of reflection does two things. It shows you've been paying attention, and it helps the other person feel understood. Sometimes people don't even realize what they're feeling until someone reflects it back to them. You become a mirror that helps them see themselves more clearly. Creating sacred space. Great listeners create what I call sacred space, a conversation environment where people feel safe to be vulnerable, to share what's really on their hearts. How do you create this space? First, by being non-judgmental. You don't have to agree with everything someone says, but you can listen without immediately categorizing it as right or wrong. Second, by being patient. Don't rush people to get to the point. Let them unfold their thoughts naturally. Third, by being emotionally present. If someone is sharing something painful, let yourself feel compassion. If they're excited about something, let yourself share in their joy. When you master the art of listening, you become a person others seek out. Not because you have all the answers, but because you help them find their own answers. You become a sanctuary in a chaotic world, and that is irresistibly magnetic. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to speak in a way that draws people in and makes them want to hear more. Because while listening is crucial, knowing how to share your own thoughts and stories is equally important. Chapter 3, Speaking with Magnetism, Words that Draw People Closer. Now that we've covered the power of listening, let's talk about the other side of communication, speaking in a way that captivates and connects. Magnetic speakers aren't necessarily the most eloquent or the most educated. They're the ones who speak with intention, emotion, and authenticity. They understand that it's not just what you say, it's how you make people feel when you say it. The secret to magnetic speaking is this: speak to connect, not to impress. When your goal is connection rather than validation, everything changes. Your words become bridges instead of barriers. Your stories become invitations rather than performances. The story that lives in you. Every person has stories that only they can tell. Your experiences, your perspectives, your journey, these are your unique gifts to the world. But here's the key: share your stories in a way that includes others rather than excludes them. The best stories aren't about how amazing you are, they're about universal human experiences that help others feel less alone. When you share a story about overcoming fear, you're not bragging about your courage. You're giving others permission to acknowledge their own fears. When you talk about a mistake you made and what you learned, you're not admitting weakness. You're showing that growth is possible for everyone. The vulnerability factor. Here's something counterintuitive: the moments when you feel most exposed are often when you're most magnetic. When you share something real, something that cost you something to reveal, people lean in. They connect with your humanity. This doesn't mean you should overshare or make every conversation about your problems. It means being willing to be real when the moment calls for it. Maybe it's admitting you don't have all the answers. Maybe it's sharing a fear you're working through. Maybe it's talking about a time when you failed and how it taught you something valuable. These moments of honesty create intimacy, and intimacy is magnetic. The language of inclusion. Magnetic speakers use language that brings people in rather than pushing them away. Instead of "you should," they say "I've found that." Instead of "everyone knows," they say "in my experience." This subtle shift makes your words feel like invitations to consider new perspectives rather than commands to change. Pay attention to your pronoun usage. We and us create connection. You and them can create distance. When you say, "we all struggle with this sometimes," you're creating solidarity. When you say, "you need to understand," you're creating separation. The art of the pause. Great speakers understand the power of pause. They don't rush through their words like they're afraid of losing their audience's attention. They speak with deliberate pacing, allowing their words to land before moving on to the next thought. Pauses create emphasis, build anticipation, and give people time to absorb what you're saying. When you're comfortable with silence, others become comfortable too. Your ease with pauses signals confidence and thoughtfulness. It shows you're not nervous or desperate for approval. You're simply sharing your thoughts with intention and care. Emotional resonance. The most magnetic speakers tap into emotions, not just logic. They understand that people make decisions with their hearts and then justify them with their heads. This doesn't mean being manipulative or over-emotional. It means acknowledging the emotional reality behind the facts you're sharing. If you're talking about a challenge, don't just describe what happened. Share how it felt. If you're discussing a success, include the emotions of the journey, not just the outcome. When you speak to both the mind and the heart, your words become unforgettable. Speaking with magnetism is about being genuine, being present, and being generous with your authentic self. In the next chapter, we'll explore how your body language can amplify or undermine everything you say. Chapter 4, The Silent Conversation: How Your Body Speaks Louder Than Your Words. While you're carefully choosing your words, your body is having its own conversation. And here's the thing: people trust your body more than your words. Your posture, gestures, facial expressions, and energy convey more information than you might realize. Understanding this silent language is crucial to becoming truly magnetic. Research shows that over 70% of communication is nonverbal. That means your body is doing most of the talking, whether you're aware of it or not. The good news is that once you understand how this works, you can align your physical presence with your intentions, creating a powerful synergy that draws people in. Posture, your physical confidence. Your posture is broadcasting your internal state to everyone around you. When you stand tall with your shoulders back and your head up, you're not just looking confident, you're actually triggering confidence in your own nervous system. It's a feedback loop. Good posture creates confidence, and confidence creates better posture. But here's what makes posture truly magnetic: it's not about looking dominant or superior. It's about looking comfortable and grounded. When you carry yourself with ease, others feel at ease around you. Your physical presence becomes an invitation rather than an intimidation. Practice standing and sitting as if you belong wherever you are. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you have every right to take up space in this world. This subtle shift in how you carry yourself will change how others perceive and respond to you. Eye contact, the bridge to connection. Eyes truly are the windows to the soul, and how you use them determines the depth of your connections. Magnetic people have mastered the art of eye contact, not as a staring contest, but as a way of creating genuine connection. Good eye contact isn't about intensity, it's about presence. When someone is speaking to you, look at them. Not through them, not past them, but at them. Let them feel seen. When you're speaking, maintain gentle eye contact to create intimacy and trust. But remember to look away naturally. This isn't about creating discomfort. Here's a powerful technique. When you first meet someone, look into their eyes long enough to notice their eye color. This creates a moment of connection that most people remember, even if they can't quite say why. Facial expressions, your emotional display. Your face is constantly communicating your internal state. Are you aware of what it's saying? Magnetic people have learned to align their facial expressions with their intentions. If you want to appear approachable, soften your face. If you want to show interest, let your eyebrows rise slightly. If you want to convey warmth, let a gentle smile touch your eyes. The key is authenticity. Don't force expressions that don't match what you're feeling. Instead, work on genuinely feeling the emotions you want to convey. When you're authentically interested in someone, your face will naturally show it. When you're genuinely happy to see someone, your smile will be real. Gestures, the dance of communication. Your hands are powerful tools of connection when used consciously. Open gestures, palms visible, hands moving naturally as you speak, all signal honesty and engagement. Closed gestures, hidden hands, repetitive fidgeting, can signal nervousness or deception. But don't overthink this. The goal isn't to control every gesture, it's to be aware of what your body is communicating and to ensure it aligns with your message. When you're excited about something, let your hands show that excitement. When you're explaining something complex, use your hands to help illustrate your points. The magnetic walk. Even how you move through space communicates something about you. Magnetic people move with purpose and ease. They don't rush frantically or drag their feet reluctantly. They walk as if they know where they're going and they're happy to be going there. Your movement should reflect your internal state. If you want to feel more confident, walk more confidently. If you want to appear more approachable, move with openness and ease. The way you navigate physical space affects how others perceive your presence. Mirroring, the unconscious connection. One of the most subtle yet powerful aspects of body language is mirroring. This is the unconscious tendency to match the posture, gestures, and energy of the person you're with. When done naturally, mirroring creates rapport and connection. People feel more comfortable with those who reflect their own energy back to them. The key word here is naturally. Conscious mirroring can feel manipulative if overdone. Instead, focus on matching the overall energy and mood of the interaction. If someone is speaking quietly and thoughtfully, don't respond with loud, animated gestures. If someone is excited and energetic, don't respond with flat, monotone energy. Your body language is your first impression and your lasting memory in someone's mind. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to handle the inevitable challenges of human interaction while maintaining your magnetic presence. Chapter 5: Navigating the Storm, Staying Magnetic Under Pressure. Life isn't always smooth, and neither are relationships. There will be difficult conversations, challenging people, and moments when your patience is tested. The difference between magnetic and ordinary people isn't that magnetic people avoid these challenges, it's how they handle them. They've learned to stay centered when others lose their center, to remain kind when others become cruel, and to respond rather than react. This chapter is about developing emotional resilience not for your own benefit, though that's important, but because people are drawn to those who can weather life's storms with grace. When everything around you is chaotic, being the calm in the storm makes you incredibly valuable to others. The space between trigger and response. Between every trigger and your response, there's a space. In that space lies your power. Most people react immediately when someone pushes their buttons. They get defensive, angry, or withdrawn. But magnetic people have learned to pause, to breathe, to choose their response consciously. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending not to be affected. It means feeling what you feel without immediately acting on it. When someone criticizes you unfairly, feel the sting, acknowledge the hurt, but then choose how to respond based on your values rather than your emotions. This ability to pause before reacting is incredibly attractive to others because it signals emotional maturity. People feel safer around those who won't explode or shut down at the first sign of conflict. Understanding difficult people. When someone is being difficult, your first instinct might be to take it personally or to fight back. But here's a perspective shift that changes everything. Difficult behavior is rarely about you. It's usually about what's happening inside the other person. They might be stressed, hurt, afraid, or overwhelmed. Their behavior is their attempt to cope with their internal experience. This doesn't mean you have to tolerate abuse or accept poor treatment. It means you can respond with understanding rather than defensiveness. When you see past someone's behavior to the pain or fear underneath, you can respond with compassion while still maintaining your boundaries. Sometimes a simple "I can see this is really important to you" or "it sounds like you're going through a tough time" can completely transform a difficult interaction. You're not agreeing with their behavior, but you're acknowledging their humanity. The art of boundaries. Magnetic people understand that boundaries aren't walls, they're guidelines that help relationships function better. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, it's about creating clarity on how you want to be treated and what kind of interactions you'll engage in. When you set boundaries kindly but firmly, you actually become more attractive to others. Why? Because boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. People are drawn to those who know their worth and aren't afraid to communicate it. Setting boundaries doesn't require harsh words or aggressive confrontation. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "I care about you, but I can't continue this conversation while we're both upset. Let's revisit this when we've both had time to cool down." This shows you value the relationship while also protecting your own well-being. Forgiveness, the freedom factor. One of the most magnetic qualities a person can possess is the ability to forgive. Not because the other person deserves it, but because carrying resentment weights you down and affects every other relationship you have. When you hold grudges, you carry that energy into new interactions. People can sense it, even if they can't name it. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing bad behavior. It means releasing the emotional charge so it doesn't continue to affect you. When you master forgiveness, you become lighter, freer, and more available for genuine connection. Magnetic people understand that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have. This doesn't make hurtful behavior acceptable, but it makes it understandable. And understanding creates space for healing and growth. Staying true under pressure. The ultimate test of your magnetic presence is how you behave when you're under pressure. Do you become someone different when stressed? Do you take out your frustrations on others? Or do you maintain your core values in treating others with respect even when you're struggling? People remember how you treat them when you're having a bad day more than how you treat them when everything is going well. Your character under pressure reveals your true nature, and people are magnetically drawn to those whose character remains consistent regardless of circumstances. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of genuine appreciation and how recognizing the good in others creates an irresistible magnetic field around you. Chapter 6: The Appreciation Advantage: Seeing Gold in Others. One of the fastest ways to become magnetic is to become someone who notices and appreciates the good in others. In a world that's quick to criticize and slow to praise, those who consistently recognize value in others stand out like beacons. But we're not talking about empty flattery or fake compliments. We're talking about the genuine ability to see and acknowledge the unique gifts that each person brings. When you become someone who makes others feel valued and appreciated, you create a positive feedback loop. People enjoy being around you because you make them feel good about themselves. They trust you because your appreciation feels authentic. They remember you because you saw something in them that others missed. The art of specific recognition. Generic compliments like "good job" or "you're awesome" are nice, but they don't create deep connection. Magnetic people have learned to give specific, thoughtful recognition that shows they've been paying attention. Instead of "you're smart," they might say, "I was impressed by how you broke down that complex problem into manageable pieces. Your analytical thinking really helped everyone understand." This kind of specific appreciation does several things. It shows you've been paying attention, it validates not just what someone did but how they did it, and it helps them understand their own strengths better. Sometimes you'll tell someone something about themselves that they didn't even realize was a strength. recognizing character over performance. While it's easy to appreciate someone's achievements, magnetic people also recognize character traits in efforts. They notice when someone is kind to a server, when someone stays late to help a colleague, when someone admits a mistake instead of covering it up. These character observations create deeper connection because they acknowledge who someone is, not just what they've accomplished. Try phrases like, "I admire how patient you are with difficult people," or "Your optimism in challenging situations is really inspiring," or "I notice how you always make sure everyone feels included." That's a rare quality. The timing of appreciation. Don't wait for perfect moments or major achievements to show appreciation. Some of the most powerful recognition happens in ordinary moments. Noticing someone's effort when they think no one is watching, acknowledging a small kindness, or appreciating someone's consistency in little things. These unexpected moments of recognition are often the most meaningful. The key is to express appreciation when you genuinely feel it, not when you think you should. Authentic appreciation has a different energy than obligatory praise, and people can feel the difference. Creating an appreciation culture. When you consistently appreciate others, something interesting happens. They start appreciating others too. You create a ripple effect of positive recognition. People begin to associate you with feeling good, with being seen, with being valued. They seek you out not just for what you can do for them, but for how you make them feel about themselves. This doesn't mean you should only focus on the positive or ignore problems when they arise. It means you make appreciation a regular practice, so when you do need to address issues, people receive your feedback within the context of feeling valued and respected. The gift of believing in others. Perhaps the most powerful form of appreciation is believing in someone's potential before they believe in it themselves. When you see possibilities in others that they can't yet see, when you encourage them to pursue dreams they've been afraid to chase, when you express confidence in their abilities, you become unforgettable. This kind of belief requires genuine connection and understanding. You have to really know someone to see their hidden potential. But when you do, and when you express that belief authentically, you become a catalyst for their growth. And people never forget those who believed in them. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the importance of emotional intelligence and how understanding emotions, both your own and others, becomes your superpower in human connection. Chapter 7, Emotional Intelligence, Your Secret Superpower. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and effectively use emotions in yourself and others. It's what separates magnetic people from those who struggle to connect. While IQ might get you in the door, EQ keeps you in the room and makes people want to stay. Emotionally intelligent people don't just react to emotions, they understand them. They see emotions as information rather than directives. They can feel angry without becoming aggressive, feel sad without becoming withdrawn, feel excited without overwhelming others. This emotional awareness and regulation is incredibly attractive because it creates safety and stability in relationships. Reading the room. Magnetic people have developed the ability to sense the emotional undercurrents in any situation. They can walk into a room and quickly assess the mood, the energy, the dynamics at play. This isn't about being psychic, it's about being observant and empathetic. Look for cues, body language, tone of voice, what's not being said, the energy level, facial expressions. When you can read these signals accurately, you can adjust your approach to match what the situation needs. Maybe the room needs someone to lighten the mood with humor. Maybe it needs someone to acknowledge the tension and address it directly. Maybe it needs someone to simply listen. Emotional contagion. Emotions are contagious. When you're around someone who's anxious, you might start feeling anxious too. When you're with someone who's excited, their excitement can lift your own energy. Magnetic people understand this phenomenon and use it consciously. They know that their emotional state affects everyone around them, so they take responsibility for the energy they bring into interactions. This doesn't mean being fake or suppressing negative emotions. It means managing your emotional state so you can show up as your best self for others. The empathy bridge. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's what allows you to connect across differences, to build bridges where others see walls. But empathy isn't just about feeling what others feel, it's about understanding their perspective while maintaining your own. When someone shares something with you, try to see the situation through their eyes. What might they be feeling? What fears or hopes might be driving their behavior? This doesn't mean you have to agree with their perspective, but understanding it allows you to respond with compassion rather than judgment. Managing your emotional triggers. Everyone has emotional triggers, situations or behaviors that immediately provoke strong reactions. Magnetic people have learned to identify their triggers and develop strategies for managing them. They don't pretend not to have triggers, but they don't let their triggers control their behavior. When you know what tends to set you off, you can prepare for those situations. You can remind yourself of your values, practice deep breathing, or even remove yourself from the situation if necessary. The goal isn't to become emotionless, it's to become emotionally responsive rather than emotionally reactive. Creating emotional safety. One of the most magnetic qualities you can develop is the ability to create emotional safety for others. This means being someone others can be vulnerable with, someone who won't judge, shame, or use their emotions against them. Emotional safety is created through consistency, empathy, and non-judgment. When people know they can share their real feelings with you without facing criticism or advice they didn't ask for, you become precious to them. You become a safe harbor in an often harsh world. The regulation ripple effect. When you're emotionally regulated, you help others regulate their emotions too. Your calm presence can soothe someone who's anxious. Your steady energy can ground someone who's scattered. Your optimism can lift someone who's discouraged. This isn't about fixing others or taking responsibility for their emotions. It's about being a stabilizing presence that allows others to access their own emotional wisdom. When people feel emotionally safe and regulated around you, they naturally want to spend more time in your presence. Emotional intelligence isn't a nice-to-have skill, it's essential for anyone who wants to create deep, meaningful connections with others. In the next chapter, we'll explore how authenticity becomes your greatest attraction asset. Chapter 8, The Authenticity Magnet: Why Being Real Beats Being Perfect. In a world full of filters, facades, and carefully curated images, authenticity has become revolutionary. When you dare to be real, when you stop trying to be perfect and start being genuine, you become magnetic in a way that no amount of polish or pretense can match. Authenticity isn't about sharing every thought or feeling you have. It's about aligning your outer expression with your inner truth. It's about showing up as yourself, not as who you think others want you to be. And here's the beautiful irony: when you stop trying so hard to be liked, you become more likable. The perfection trap. Society teaches us that we need to be perfect to be worthy of love and connection. But perfection is actually repelling. When someone seems to have it all together, when they never struggle or fail, it creates distance. Others can't relate to perfection. They can't connect with it. It makes them feel inadequate by comparison. Magnetic people have learned to embrace their imperfections, not as flaws to hide, but as part of their human experience to share. When you can laugh at your mistakes, admit when you don't know something, or share a struggle you're working through, you give others permission to be human too. The courage to be disliked. One of the most liberating realizations is that you don't need everyone to like you. In fact, trying to be liked by everyone guarantees you'll be truly known by no one. Magnetic people understand that it's better to be genuinely liked by some than superficially liked by many. When you stop bending yourself into shapes that please others, when you stop editing your personality to fit in, you create space for real connections with people who appreciate you for who you actually are. These relationships are deeper, more satisfying, and more sustainable than connections based on a false version of yourself. Vulnerability is strength. Vulnerability might seem like the opposite of magnetism. After all, isn't magnetism about being attractive and powerful? But here's what magnetic people understand: vulnerability is power. It takes tremendous strength to be open about your fears, your failures, your uncertainties. And that strength is deeply attractive to others. When you share something vulnerable, you're not burdening others with your problems. You're offering them the gift of your trust. You're saying, "I trust you enough to show you my real self." This level of trust creates intimacy, and intimacy is magnetic. The key is appropriate vulnerability. Share your struggles in the context of growth and learning. Talk about your fears as challenges you're working to overcome. Frame your imperfections as part of your ongoing journey rather than reasons for self-pity. Values-based living. Authenticity requires knowing what you stand for. Magnetic people have clarity about their values and they live by them, even when it's difficult. They don't change their principles based on who they're with or what might be popular at the moment. This consistency creates trust. People know what to expect from you. They know you'll be the same person whether they're watching or not. This reliability is incredibly attractive in a world where many people seem to change with the wind. Living your values also means saying no to things that don't align with who you are, even if saying yes might bring short-term benefits. This integrity is magnetic because it's rare. The freedom of self-acceptance. When you truly accept yourself, flaws and all, you free up enormous amounts of energy that you were previously using to maintain a facade. This energy can now be directed toward connecting with others, pursuing your goals, and enjoying your life. Self-acceptance doesn't mean giving up on growth. It means loving yourself enough to grow from a place of worthiness rather than inadequacy. When you believe you're worthy of love and connection as you are right now, others begin to believe it too. Authentic expression. Magnetic people have learned to express themselves authentically without being overwhelming or inappropriate. They share their opinions without needing others to agree. They express their emotions without making others responsible for them. They pursue their interests without needing everyone to understand or approve. This authentic expression is attractive because it gives others permission to be themselves too. When you model what it looks like to be genuinely yourself, you create space for others to drop their own masks. Authenticity is not about being the same person with everyone. You naturally adjust your energy and communication style based on the context and the relationship. But your core self, your values, your genuine care for others, these remain consistent. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn every conversation into an opportunity for deeper connection through the power of curiosity and genuine interest in others. Chapter 9, The Curiosity Connection, Making Others Feel Fascinating. Here's a paradox that magnetic people understand: the secret to being interesting is being interested. When you approach others with genuine curiosity, when you're truly fascinated by their perspectives and experiences, you become irresistibly attractive. Why? Because in a world where everyone wants to talk about themselves, someone who wants to listen about you feels like a rare gift. Curiosity is magnetic because it makes others feel valuable. When you ask thoughtful questions, when you dig deeper into their thoughts and experiences, when you remember details from previous conversations, you're communicating something powerful: you matter. Your thoughts matter. Your experiences matter. Beyond small talk. Most conversations never move beyond the surface. How are you? Fine, thanks. How are you? This kind of exchange is polite but forgettable. Magnetic people have learned to move conversations into more meaningful territory, not by being intrusive, but by being genuinely curious. Instead of "How was your weekend?" try "What was the highlight of your weekend?" Instead of "How's work?" try "What's the most interesting project you're working on right now?" These questions invite people to share something they actually care about rather than giving automatic responses. The key is to listen to their answer and then ask follow-up questions based on what they've shared. This shows you're not just going through the motions of conversation, you're genuinely interested in their world. The power of "tell me more." 3 simple words can transform any conversation: tell me more. When someone shares something with you, resist the urge to immediately relate it to your own experience or offer advice. Instead, invite them to go deeper. Tell me more about that. What was that like for you? How did that change things? These invitations show that you value their perspective and want to understand it more fully. They also give people the rare experience of feeling truly heard and understood. Remembering what matters. Magnetic people pay attention to details that others forget. They remember your pet's name, your upcoming presentation, your concern about your elderly parent. This isn't about having a perfect memory, it's about caring enough to pay attention and follow up. When you see someone a week after they mentioned a job interview, asking how did that interview go, shows that their life matters to you beyond just the moment you're currently sharing. This kind of attention creates profound connection because it's so rare. Most people are too focused on their own lives to remember details about others. When you buck this trend, you become someone special in their world. Questions that reveal character. Beyond surface-level curiosity, magnetic people ask questions that help them understand someone's character, values, and inner world. These aren't interrogation questions, but gentle invitations to share what really matters to them. Try questions like, what's something you believe that most people disagree with? What's a challenge that taught you something important about yourself? What brings you the most joy in life right now? What's something you're proud of that others might not know about? These questions invite people to share their deeper selves, creating the kind of conversation that people remember long after it's over. The mirror of understanding. When you're genuinely curious about others, you become like a mirror that helps them see themselves more clearly. Through your questions and attention, they often discover things about themselves they hadn't noticed before. They might realize what they're passionate about, what they value most, or what they want to change in their lives. This mirroring effect is incredibly powerful because you're not just connecting with who they are today, you're helping them become more aware of who they're becoming. People never forget those who help them understand themselves better. Cultural and perspective curiosity. Magnetic people are fascinated by different perspectives, backgrounds, and experiences. They understand that every person has a unique lens through which they see the world, and they're genuinely interested in looking through that lens. This means asking about someone's background, their family traditions, their cultural perspective, their unique experiences. Not in a way that makes them feel like specimens to be studied, but in a way that shows you value the diversity of human experience. When you approach differences with curiosity rather than judgment, you create connection across divides that separate others. You become someone who brings people together rather than driving them apart. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the energy you bring into every interaction determines whether people are drawn to you or drained by you. Chapter 10, Energy Management, Becoming a Source of Light. Your energy is your signature. It's what people feel when they're around you, and it's often more important than what you say or do. Magnetic people understand that energy is currency in relationships. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel energized, inspired, and uplifted, while avoiding those who drain, exhaust, or deflate them. This chapter is about becoming conscious of the energy you carry and learning to manage it in a way that serves both you and others. It's about becoming a source of light in a world that often feels heavy and dark. The energy audit. Start by taking an honest inventory of the energy you typically bring to interactions. Do people seem more energized after spending time with you, or do they seem tired? Do conversations with you tend to be uplifting or draining? Do you often complain, gossip, or focus on problems, or do you tend to look for solutions and positive possibilities? This isn't about judging yourself harshly. We all have days when our energy is low or negative. The key is becoming aware so you can make conscious choices about how you show up. The source versus the drain. Energy drains include constant complaining, gossiping about others, focusing on problems without solutions, bringing stress from other areas of your life into current interactions, seeking validation or sympathy repeatedly, and being emotionally reactive or volatile. Energy sources include expressing genuine interest in others, sharing optimism and hope, offering help or support, bringing humor and lightness when appropriate, staying present and focused, and maintaining emotional stability. The goal isn't to become artificially positive or to suppress negative emotions. It's to process your own emotions privately or with appropriate people so you can show up as a gift to others. Emotional contagion mastery. Since emotions are contagious, magnetic people become very intentional about the emotions they spread. They understand that their mood affects everyone around them, so they take responsibility for their emotional state. This means doing your own emotional work before entering social situations. If you're feeling angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed, take time to process those emotions rather than spreading them to others. If you're feeling grateful, excited, or peaceful, let that positive energy flow naturally. The presence practice. Being fully present is one of the most energizing gifts you can give someone. When you're completely focused on the person in front of you, not thinking about your next meeting or scrolling through your phone, you create an energy field of attention that people find nourishing. Practice presence by engaging all your senses in your interactions. Really see the person you're talking to. Listen not just to their words but to their tone and emotion. Notice their body language. Be completely there with them. Recovery and renewal. Magnetic people understand that to give good energy consistently, they need to renew their own energy regularly. This means taking care of your physical health, getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising, and managing stress. It also means having practices that restore your emotional and mental energy. This might include meditation, time in nature, creative pursuits, meaningful conversations with close friends, or any activity that fills you up rather than depletes you. When you take care of your own energy, you have more to give others. The positivity balance. There's a difference between toxic positivity and genuine optimism. Toxic positivity denies or minimizes real problems and emotions. Genuine optimism acknowledges challenges while maintaining hope and looking for possibilities. Magnetic people don't pretend everything is perfect, but they do tend to focus on what's possible rather than what's wrong. They acknowledge problems while also looking for solutions. They validate others' struggles while also encouraging their strength. This balanced approach to positivity is attractive because it's real. People don't feel like they have to pretend around you, but they also don't feel dragged down by constant negativity. Creating energetic boundaries. Part of energy management is learning to protect yourself from energy drains. This might mean limiting time with consistently negative people, avoiding toxic environments when possible, or developing strategies for maintaining your center in challenging situations. Setting energetic boundaries isn't selfish, it's responsible. When you protect your energy, you ensure you have positive energy to share with others. You become a renewable resource rather than a battery that gets drained and needs constant recharging. In the next chapter, we'll explore the subtle art of influence and how magnetic people inspire others without manipulation or pressure. Chapter 11, Influence Without Force, the Gentle Power of Inspiration. True influence isn't about convincing, coercing, or manipulating others into doing what you want. It's about inspiring them to want what you want, to see possibilities they hadn't considered, to tap into their own motivation and wisdom. Magnetic people understand that lasting influence comes from connection, not control. When you try to force your ideas on others, you create resistance. People naturally push back against pressure, even when the idea might benefit them. But when you influence through inspiration, connection, and genuine care for their well-being, people open up. They become willing partners rather than reluctant followers. Leading by example. The most powerful form of influence is living in a way that others want to emulate. When you embody the qualities you value, when you live with integrity and purpose, when you handle challenges with grace, others notice. They're inspired by your example rather than your words. This kind of influence doesn't require speeches or presentations. It happens through daily choices, consistent behavior, and authentic living. People watch how you treat others, how you handle stress, how you pursue your goals, how you respond to setbacks. Your life becomes your message. The inspiration formula. Magnetic people inspire others by helping them see their own potential. Instead of telling people what they should do, they ask questions that help people discover what they want to do. Instead of giving advice, they share their own experiences and let others draw their own conclusions. This approach works because people are more committed to ideas they feel they've discovered themselves. When you help someone reach their own insights rather than imposing your insights on them, they feel ownership over the decision. They're more likely to follow through because it feels like their choice, not your mandate. Stories that move mountains. One of the most powerful tools of influence is storytelling. When you share stories about overcoming challenges, learning important lessons, or discovering new possibilities, you're not telling people what to do. You're showing them what's possible. Stories bypass resistance because they don't feel like direct persuasion. Instead, they create emotional and mental experiences that help others imagine new possibilities for themselves. The best influencers are often the best storytellers. The trust factor. Influence requires trust, and trust is built through consistency, honesty, and genuine care for others' well-being. When people believe that you have their best interests at heart, when they see that your suggestions come from love rather than self-interest, they're much more open to your influence. This means sometimes influencing people away from things that might benefit you if those things aren't in their best interest. It means being honest about the challenges as well as the benefits of any path you might suggest. This kind of integrity creates deep trust, and trusted people have natural influence. Asking instead of telling. Instead of saying you should do this, try asking what do you think would happen if you tried this. Instead of you're making a mistake, try help me understand your thinking behind this decision. Instead of giving direct advice, ask questions that help people think through their situations more thoroughly. This questioning approach accomplishes several things. It shows respect for their intelligence and autonomy, it helps them think more deeply about their situation, and it often leads them to the same conclusion you might have suggested, but now it feels like their own insight. Creating win-win scenarios. Magnetic influencers always look for solutions that benefit everyone involved. They don't try to win at others' expense. They look for ways to expand the pie rather than fighting over a bigger slice. This abundance mentality makes others want to work with them rather than against them. When you consistently look for ways to help others succeed while also achieving your own goals, you become someone others want to collaborate with. You become known as someone who creates opportunities rather than just taking them. The long game. True influence is about long-term relationships, not short-term victories. Magnetic people understand that it's better to maintain trust and connection than to win any single argument or negotiation. They're willing to be patient, to build influence slowly through consistent positive interactions. This long-term approach creates compound returns. As your influence grows through trust and connection, you find that people not only follow your suggestions but actively seek out your input. You become someone whose opinion matters because you've proven that you use your influence wisely. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to handle rejection and criticism while maintaining your magnetic presence. Chapter 12, Resilience and Grace, Staying Magnetic When Things Get Tough. Not everyone will like you. Not every interaction will go smoothly. There will be rejection, criticism, and moments when you feel like you've failed at connecting. The difference between magnetic people and others isn't that magnetic people avoid these challenges, it's how they handle them. They've learned to maintain their center, their kindness, and their openness even when facing difficulty. This resilience isn't just attractive to others, it's essential for your own well-being. When you can handle life's inevitable challenges with grace, you become someone others can rely on. You become a source of stability in an unstable world. Reframing rejection. Rejection hurts. There's no way around that. But magnetic people have learned to reframe rejection in a way that protects their self-worth while allowing them to learn and grow. They understand that rejection often says more about fit than about worth. When someone doesn't connect with you, it might mean you're not compatible, they're dealing with their own issues, the timing isn't right, or they're simply not ready for the kind of connection you offer. It rarely means you're fundamentally flawed or unworthy of connection. This perspective allows you to handle rejection without becoming bitter, defensive, or closed off. You can acknowledge the disappointment while maintaining your openness to future connections. Criticism as information. Not all criticism is valid, but all criticism contains information. Magnetic people have learned to extract value from feedback without letting it devastate their self-concept. They can separate the message from the messenger, the truth from the opinion, the helpful from the hurtful. When you receive criticism, ask yourself, is there any truth here that could help me grow? If yes, thank the person for their input and use it to improve. If no, acknowledge their perspective without taking it personally. Either way, you maintain your composure and dignity. The bounce-back factor. Resilience isn't about never falling down, it's about how quickly and gracefully you get back up. Magnetic people have developed the ability to recover from setbacks without losing their fundamental optimism or openness to others. This recovery process often involves acknowledging what happened, learning from it, making any necessary adjustments, and then moving forward without carrying the weight of past failures into future interactions. Maintaining your standards. When faced with rejection or criticism, there's often a temptation to lower your standards, to become less authentic, to try harder to please others. Magnetic people resist this temptation. They understand that compromising their values or authenticity to avoid rejection only leads to superficial connections. Instead, they use challenges as opportunities to clarify their values and strengthen their commitment to authentic living. They become more themselves, not less, in the face of adversity. The growth mindset. Magnetic people approach challenges with a growth mindset. They see setbacks as opportunities to learn, rejection as information about compatibility, and criticism as potential feedback for improvement. This mindset keeps them moving forward rather than getting stuck in defensive patterns. When you view every interaction as a chance to learn something about yourself or others, you maintain curiosity and openness even in difficult situations. This growth orientation is attractive because it signals that you're not fixed in your ways, that you're capable of evolution and improvement. Supporting others through their challenges. Your own resilience also allows you to be present for others when they're going through difficult times. When you've learned to handle your own challenges with grace, you can offer that same grace to others without being overwhelmed by their struggles. This ability to remain stable while others are struggling makes you incredibly valuable. People know they can come to you not just for celebration but also for support during tough times. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to maintain your magnetic presence in different social contexts and situations. Chapter 13, Context and Adaptability, Being Magnetic Everywhere You Go. Magnetic people understand that different situations call for different expressions of their core self. They're not chameleons who change their entire personality based on who they're with, but they are adaptable enough to adjust their energy and communication style to match what each situation needs. This adaptability allows them to connect with a wide range of people in various contexts while remaining authentic. They understand that being yourself doesn't mean being the same self in every situation. Reading the social environment. Before you enter any social situation, take a moment to assess the environment. What's the energy like? What seems to be the purpose of the gathering? What kind of interaction would be most valuable here? Sometimes a situation needs someone to bring energy and enthusiasm. Sometimes it needs someone to provide calm and stability. Sometimes it needs someone to ask thoughtful questions. Sometimes it needs someone to simply listen and provide support. Magnetic people develop the ability to sense what's needed and adjust their approach accordingly, always staying true to their core values while adapting their expression. Professional magnetism. The workplace presents unique challenges for magnetic people. You want to be authentic and connected, but you also need to maintain professional boundaries and achieve business objectives. The key is finding ways to bring your best self to work while respecting the professional context. This might mean being warm but not overly familiar, being honest but diplomatically so, being supportive but not overstepping boundaries. You can still practice good listening, show genuine interest in colleagues, and create positive energy while maintaining professionalism. Social magnetism. In social settings, magnetic people understand how to contribute to the group dynamic while also creating individual connections. They know when to step forward and when to step back, when to be the center of attention and when to direct attention to others. They're skilled at including quieter people in conversations, helping everyone feel welcome, and creating an environment where authentic connection can flourish. They understand that their role isn't always to be the star, but to help everyone shine. Family dynamics. Perhaps the most challenging context for magnetism is with family members. These are the people who knew you before you developed your magnetic qualities, and they might resist or question your growth. They might try to keep you in old patterns or roles. Magnetic people navigate family dynamics with patience and consistency. They don't abandon their growth to make others comfortable, but they also don't force their new perspectives on unwilling family members. They lead by example and allow others to adjust in their own time. Digital magnetism. In our connected world, much of our interaction happens through digital channels. Magnetic people understand how to maintain their authentic presence even through screens and text messages. This means being thoughtful about what you share online, engaging authentically with others' content, and using technology to deepen relationships rather than replace face-to-face connection. The principles of good listening, genuine interest, and positive energy apply just as much in digital spaces as in physical ones. The consistency challenge. The ultimate test of your magnetic development is consistency across contexts. Can you maintain your core qualities whether you're with your boss or your best friend, in a crisis or a celebration, when you're tired or when you're energized? This consistency builds trust because people know what to expect from you. They don't have to wonder which version of you will show up. This reliability is deeply attractive and forms the foundation of lasting relationships. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to use humor and playfulness to create joy and connection with others. Chapter 14. The Joy Factor, Humor and Playfulness as Magnetic Forces. Laughter is one of the most powerful bonding experiences humans can share. When you can make someone laugh, when you can bring lightness to heavy moments, when you can help others not take themselves so seriously, you become irresistibly magnetic. But we're not talking about being the class clown or the person who's always on. We're talking about authentic humor that comes from joy, perspective, and the ability to find light in the darkness. Magnetic people understand that life is serious enough without them making it more serious. They've learned to bring appropriate humor and playfulness to their interactions, creating joy and connection wherever they go. Humor is connection. The best humor doesn't make you the star, it creates shared experience. It's not about being the funniest person in the room, it's about helping everyone in the room feel lighter and more connected. Self-deprecating humor, observational comedy, and gentle teasing, when appropriate, all create bonds between people. The key is reading your audience and adjusting your humor accordingly. What's funny to your college friends might not be appropriate for a business meeting. What makes your family laugh might not land with new acquaintances. Magnetic people develop humor that's inclusive rather than exclusive. Playfulness versus seriousness. There's a time for deep, serious conversation, and there's a time for playfulness. Magnetic people know how to shift between these modes naturally. They can engage in meaningful discussions about important topics, and they can also bring lightness when the situation calls for it. Playfulness doesn't mean being immature or inappropriate. It means maintaining a sense of wonder, curiosity, and joy that makes interactions more enjoyable. It means not taking yourself so seriously that others feel they have to walk on eggshells around you. Timing and appropriateness. The difference between magnetic humor and humor that falls flat is often timing and appropriateness. Great humor comes from understanding the moment, the audience, and the context. It enhances the interaction rather than derailing it. This means avoiding humor at others' expense, being sensitive to others' emotional states, and understanding when lightness is welcome and when it's not. Sometimes the most magnetic thing you can do is resist the urge to make a joke and instead offer presence and support. Self-deprecating magic. One of the most attractive forms of humor is the ability to laugh at yourself. When you can find humor in your own mistakes, quirks, or imperfections, you show others that you don't take yourself too seriously. This makes you more approachable and relatable. Self-deprecating humor also demonstrates confidence. It shows that your self-worth isn't so fragile that you can't handle a little fun at your own expense. This kind of security is deeply attractive to others. Creating joy memories. Magnetic people understand that shared laughter creates lasting bonds. When you can create moments of genuine joy with others, those moments become memories that strengthen your relationship. People associate you with feeling good, with having fun, with experiencing joy. Look for opportunities to create these positive memories, surprising someone with their favorite treat, planning unexpected adventures, finding humor in challenging situations, or simply being the person who can make others smile when they need it most. The lightness balance. While humor and playfulness are magnetic, they need to be balanced with depth and authenticity. People are drawn to those who can be both light and deep, who can laugh and also listen, who can bring joy while also being present for pain. The most magnetic people are multidimensional. They can match the energy that's needed in any given moment while maintaining their essential character and values. In our final chapter, we'll explore how to put all these principles together and maintain your magnetic presence consistently over time. Chapter 15, The Magnetic Life, Living Your Transformation Daily. You now understand the principles that create genuine human magnetism. But knowing and doing are two different things. This final chapter is about integration, about taking everything you've learned and weaving it into the fabric of your daily life. It's about becoming consistently magnetic, not just in moments when you remember to try. True magnetism isn't a performance you put on, it's a way of being you embody. It becomes as natural as breathing, as automatic as smiling when you're happy. But getting to that level of integration requires intention, practice, and patience with yourself as you grow. The daily practice. Becoming magnetic is like building physical fitness. You don't go to the gym once and become strong. You develop strength through consistent practice over time. The same is true for magnetic qualities. Each day presents opportunities to practice listening, to show appreciation, to be present, to respond rather than react. Start each day by setting an intention for how you want to show up. Maybe today you'll focus on being extra present in your conversations. Maybe you'll look for opportunities to appreciate others. Maybe you'll practice staying calm when things get stressful. Choose one quality to focus on and practice it throughout the day. The compound effect. Small, consistent actions compound over time into significant transformation. Each time you choose to listen instead of waiting to speak, each time you offer genuine appreciation instead of rushing past someone, each time you respond with curiosity instead of judgment, you're building your magnetic muscle. These small choices might seem insignificant in the moment, but they add up. Over weeks and months, they change not just how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who creates connection, who adds value to interactions, who makes others feel good. Handling setbacks. There will be days when you forget everything you've learned. Days when you react instead of respond, when you're distracted instead of present, when you're focused on yourself instead of others. This is normal and human. The key is getting back on track quickly without judging yourself harshly for the setback. Magnetic people understand that growth isn't linear. They expect setbacks and treat them as information rather than evidence of failure. They ask, "What can I learn from this?" rather than "Why can't I get this right?" Creating your magnetic environment. As you develop your magnetic qualities, you'll find that you naturally attract different types of people into your life. Some relationships will deepen as you become more authentic and connected. Others might fade as you stop accepting superficial interactions or one-sided relationships. This is natural and healthy. As you raise your standards for how you treat yourself and others, your relationships will evolve to match those standards. You'll attract people who appreciate authenticity, depth, and genuine connection. The ripple effect. One of the most beautiful aspects of becoming magnetic is the ripple effect it creates. As you practice these qualities, others around you begin to practice them too. Your genuine interest in others inspires them to be more interested in others. Your appreciation encourages them to appreciate more. Your authenticity gives them permission to be more authentic. You become a catalyst for positive change in your community, your workplace, your family. Not through preaching or pushing, but through modeling a better way of being human together. The continuous journey. Becoming magnetic isn't a destination you reach, it's a journey you embark on. There's always room to grow in your ability to connect, to understand, to appreciate, to influence positively. The most magnetic people are often those who maintain a beginner's mind, who stay curious about others and about themselves. As you continue this journey, remember that every interaction is an opportunity to practice these principles. Every conversation is a chance to create connection. Every challenge is an opportunity to demonstrate grace. Every day is a new chance to be the kind of person others are naturally drawn to. Conclusion: your magnetic future. You started this journey with a question: How do some people become naturally magnetic while others struggle to connect? Now you have the answer. Magnetism isn't about charisma, looks, or natural talent. It's about mastering the art of human connection through presence, authenticity, genuine interest in others, and the ability to make people feel valued and understood. Every principle in this guide is within your reach. You don't need to change your personality or become someone you're not. You just need to become more of who you really are, the person who cares about others, who wants to contribute positively to the world, who values genuine connection over superficial interaction. The techniques you've learned, listening deeply, speaking authentically, managing your energy, showing genuine appreciation, handling challenges with grace, these aren't just strategies for becoming more likable. They're practices for becoming more fully human, more connected to yourself and others, more able to create the kind of relationships that make life meaningful. As you move forward, remember that becoming magnetic is ultimately about service. It's about using your presence, your attention, and your authentic self to make others feel better about themselves and their lives. When you focus on giving rather than getting, on connecting rather than impressing, on serving rather than being served, magnetism becomes your natural state. The world needs more people who can create genuine connection, who can bridge differences, who can make others feel seen and valued. The world needs more magnetic people. And now you have the tools to become one of them. Your transformation starts now, with your next interaction, your next conversation, your next opportunity to make someone feel like they matter. Because they do matter. And so do you. Now go out there and let your natural magnetism shine.